Hey y'all, I'm starting a new series where I share with you campaigns that I'm actively backing on crowdfunding. This will probably be an infrequent series since the last campaign that I backed was Cthulhu Death May Die Forbidden Reaches. I'm calling this series the Should I Back series because I only want to present to you games that I'm actually vested in myself. There's enough FOMO out there without me adding to all the noise. I'll share with you exactly why I'm so excited about a particular game, as well as mention any concerns that I may have. And it's up to you, the viewer, to talk me out of it. If you see something that I didn't, if you have any concerns that I don't, or if you would even like to suggest a similar game that may be a better fit for me, this is your opportunity. So anyway, today we are taking a look at Don't Starve. This is a board game based on a video game. It's an IP that I know nothing about and actually have not much interest in. As you might imagine, what first drew me to this game was the game art and the miniatures. Now, I know miniatures do not necessarily make for a great game, but it does entice me to look into the game further. I mean, this is a miniature painting channel after all. Now, these miniatures appear to be a 50mm scale, and they have a very unique look to them that seems like it'll be a blast to paint. Sarastro already has full painting tutorials for these hero characters. I don't know if I'm going to be able to compete with that, but I am sure as shit gonna try. And since we know that miniatures do not make the game, let's take a look at what the gameplay has to offer. Don't Starve the board game is a cooperative survival board game for 1 to 4 players where you work together to survive a wilderness full of bizarre creatures, shifting dangers, and scarce resources. The game is played over a series of scenarios that can be played in any order. This very much reminds me of Cthulhu Death May Die. Each tuck box contains the components specific to that one scenario. However, unlike Cthulhu Death May Die, it appears that you will unlock like different items or recipes, which then can be used later in any other scenario. It says that the scenarios are replayable in the same way that Cthulhu Death May Die episodes are replayable, but only the Last Wish scenario says that it's specifically designed for repeated play. This also isn't a simple rehash of the video game content, but rather it's billed as a new adventure within that universe. The first thing of note is that each character in the game is asymmetric and upgradable. I very much enjoy asymmetry in my player characters because it allows me to explore different paths to victory. Over the course of the game, you will explore new areas, craft items, and fight monsters. Moving your character around the map reveals new tiles for you to explore. Exploration allows you to gather food and materials and possibly encounter monsters. Exploration isn't really my favorite mechanism in a board game, but it's not really one that I shy away from either. I just prefer a preset map where I know where I want to go. With the materials that you find, you can craft items like armor, weapons, and tools. Now I'll be honest, when I first saw this giant looking crafting book, I was concerned that this would be a very cumbersome and fiddly process, but as it turns out, the materials you find are just resources that you spend to buy these items, essentially. So it looks very straightforward, and it shouldn't detract from the gameplay much at all. Next, you may have to fight several monsters, and this game has gobs of monsters to fight. The fighting seems pretty straightforward. In fact, it reminds me a little bit of Massive Darkness in the way that you take your dice and the enemy's dice and roll them simultaneously to obtain the results. In addition to the usual hit and defense symbols, the monster dice also have an ability symbol. The effects of this symbol are detailed on each individual monster card, making every monster encounter feel a little unique. Players can mitigate bad dice rolls by spending focus to re-roll any unfavorable die results. This reminds me a little bit of Cthulhu Death May Die, where you can take stress to re-roll your dice. Also similar to Cthulhu Death May Die is how you have 3 tracks to manage. In this case, health, hunger, and sanity. I know that I keep mentioning similarities to Cthulhu Death May Die, but these similarities are in mechanisms only, and I don't really think it has the same feel as a Cthulhu Death May Die game does. The feedback that I've heard from people who have actually played the game is that this is much more of a punishing cooperative survival game, more along the lines of something like the Robinson Crusoe board game. Now, I am not looking to go all in on this campaign, but one expansion that I am definitely going to add is the Reign of Giants expansion. It contains 4 100mm very cool looking monsters to fight against. It also includes 1 hero character. But most importantly, it introduces boss battle mode, which lets you face off against these giant creatures outright in their own domain. In addition to all of the components that are to be expected in a game of this type, it also contains what appears to be a very functional and organized storage solution. Glass Cannon Unplugged also seems to be taking a page out of CMON's playbook by offering up a ridiculous amount of stretch goals that will keep backers and followers engaged in the campaign throughout its duration. Alright, and now on to some concerns that I may have. First of all, I think that this campaign is in good hands with Glass Cannon Unplugged, who has published well-received games such as Frostpunk, Dying Light, and Apex Legends. However, when I look at the designer for the game, I notice that this is the designer's very first game. Now, this isn't necessarily a red flag. Every designer has to start somewhere, but generally speaking, I like to look at a designer's design history just to see if their style of designing a game is a match for my style of playing a game. Here, I really have nothing to go on, so I just have to trust that Glass Cannon Unplugged has this thing under control. As you may have imagined, I am backing this campaign at the deluxe level for $129, which does include 42 miniatures. It's an extra $50 for these 42 miniatures, which really isn't too bad of a price considering that they are 50mm miniatures. Shipping for the deluxe version of the game is $26, so that puts my total cost at just over $200 with shipping, the base game, and the one expansion that I want to add to the game. So let me know what you think. Should I back this game? Are you backing this game? I'd like to thank my channel members for supporting all that I do on this channel. You too can become a channel member for as little as $1.99 a month and receive benefits such as early access to videos, members-only extended videos of our painting tutorials, and even a tier where you can choose which miniature I paint next. Thank you so much for watching. Please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel to join our growing community of people succumbing to FOMO.